Here we go.
Hi.
Hey!
This is
How are
awesome.
you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. Oh my
Fantastic.
goodness. I'm so glad I was able to work.
Yes.
So we'll go ahead and start. So my name is Jesslyn. For those of you that don't know me, I am the owner of Retro Glow and the admin of the Sluts group. And thank you so much for being here today. And today we have on Shelly from Black Cat Candle
Hello.
Company. And she's going to talk to us all about her candles and how her business got started. So I'm going to pass it off to you now,
Perfect.
Shelly.
So it's quite an interesting story. I scoot this back to 2012, maybe even a little bit earlier than that. I actually took a mission trip to Haiti. And I thought, well, I need to raise, X amount of dollars for me to be able to go because you have to self-fund the trip. So I got this bright idea that I was going to pour wax in a jar and sell it. And I probably didn't have any business doing any of that, but I did it, and I popped a label on there. Didn't even know you needed a warning label. And I stood outside of Kroger and sold and I think I made like $800. Now
in one day,
yeah.
too?
And I was like, all right. But, looking back on it now, I'm pretty sure, whoever bought these candles couldn't smell them. I mean, there's no telling what, I did wrong with that because I probably did everything wrong and everything that you're not supposed to do. So I did that. And then after that, I kind of just laid it down, didn't really do anything with candles. And then moved forward to quarantine. So, we're in COVID and all that. And, my beautiful fiance, Katie, who is, I think, watching with us tonight, we were doing long distance for, gosh, I think almost a year. And I got tired of doing, So I got tired of doing long distance. I think she was really tired of it. And I lost my job due to COVID and had to claim unemployment. So during that, I thought, well, why don't we just move to Kentucky from Georgia? So I got in my car and I never went back. And so I've been here since then. And during quarantine, because I wasn't working and she was working from home, I kind of dabbled in a lot of different arts and crafts. Like I never really feel like I know what I want to do. So I tried a million and one things and spent a lot of money and wasn't happy doing any of it. And then I just had this light bulb moment and I was like, I did candles at one point in time. And although I didn't really know what I was doing, I did enjoy the process of it. And so with her encouragement and what little money I had kind of saved from unemployment, I bought stuff to make candles. And she actually ended up buying me a candle kit. And that was kind of how the whole thing got started. She went on Candle Science and she was like, I got you a candle kit. I didn't even know she was doing it. Aww. And it was like, I was in tears. I was like, you have no idea how much this means.
So supportive. Yeah. That's awesome.
And so that's kind of how the journey started as far as the whole candle thing goes. Well, then the more research I did and kind of looking for the perfect jar that I wanted to use or the vessel that I wanted to use, I realized that COVID and quarantine kind of put a whole stop to people making candles. One, because everybody and their brother wanted to make candles.
Yep.
And two, there was a shortage on candle vessels. And so me kind of being the creative person that I feel like I am, I thought, well, what am I going to do about that? And then the idea of concrete came into my head. And that's kind of how I started making concrete candles. So it's quite an intense journey because not only am I learning about how to pour and make candles, but I'm also having to learn how to pour and mix concrete.
Wow. So, I can't even imagine. I know we have a brick house and we were trying to do a mortar method, like a brick and mortar method. So we put like white mortar and we were taking it. And I mean, it's not really the same, but I can't imagine like working with it.
Oh yeah, it's
like that's a whole nother level and craft in itself. So you're like doing a 2 for 1.
But I knew like with the idea in my head that I've kind of wanted to be all handmade, and that was also with my vessels. I thought, this is a perfect opportunity for me to really find out what my niche is, like who do I want to market towards, what kind of product would I be happy burning and buying from someone. I want that to be the same for the person who's buying from me. And so it's been a lot of tears and frustration because although I feel like I've somewhat gotten the candle part down, in the beginning, I was like, I don't know if this concrete thing is for me. Like, I worked 12-hour shifts and I'd come home and I'd have concrete poured in a mold and I'd get ready to unmold it. and it would just crumble. And I'm like, not only is my concrete crumbling, but so is my heart, because I can't figure any of this out. And so it was literally me like just crying and boohooing, and Katie being super supportive and being like, look, you're gonna get it, it's just gonna take time. And well, thankfully we're here, and the time I spent learning how to do this is now turned into concrete candles. So
that's amazing. Which, and now you don't have to rely barely on anyone except for what? Fragrance, wax, and wicks.
So
you're making your own vessels, and that's literally, because even if you order them, sometimes the shipping times are insane. So you can just, make it yourself.
So there's
now.
A lot of factors that kind of, went into me realizing that concrete was the way to go. And I think, when we first reached out and, I asked you about maybe doing a live with concrete candles, like, I don't think I realized like how many people were actually fascinated by the idea of being able to make their own vessels because of the vessel shortage. And, I had so many people who were like, oh my goodness, like, how do you do this? Like, people have a million questions. And although I don't feel like, I know everything, I do feel like I've put in enough time, to kind of help some people out who are wanting to maybe venture into concrete candles.
So do you have one of your products
I do.
next to you that you can show everyone?
So I thought this would be really fun and kind of interactive because I'm more of a hands-on person. So I thought we would go through the demolding process of demolding one of these, but also I thought we could make one together.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome.
Yes. So I do have,
so is she.
if you guys want to take notes, because I do have some helpful resources, and I'm currently working on like a PDF file to post in the group of everything that I talk about and all of my websites and things that I buy from. So that'll come out at some point in the next day or two. But the first thing is this really massive mold that I got online, and it's from a company called Modern Craft Molds. And I have the box that it came in just to show you guys. So I don't know if the glare's too bad or not, but so Modern Craft Labs is where I got, it's I believe a 3-inch mold, and they market it as like a tulip mold, I guess, for like succulents and stuff too. And which is the other thing that I really wanted to use for my concrete vessels, is that when you are finished with your candle, you can reuse it as a succulent planter. So hopefully in the near future, I will be able to offer a free succulent with every gift set purchase. So that's,
oh my gosh, I'm there.
So that's something that I'm working on too. But this is the 3-inch silicone mold, and I will give you guys a little tip, because when I first started pouring my concrete and demolding these, they kept crumbling every time I tried, and it was a mess. And like I said, there was a lot of like tears on the floor and me boohooing in Katie's shoulders. And well, so I found out the trick is to make a slit in your silicone mold. So then when you demold it, it comes out pretty easy. So just kind of a slit right here. So that way when you go, because it's a thick mold. So when you are pulling it down.
That's so cool. I'm like
trying to make sure I get it in the. And then the other trick for demolding is that I use vegetable spray on the inside to kind of help release the mold from the concrete.
Oh my gosh, everyone on the chat is so excited right now.
I love it. I love it. So this is what it looks like demolded, and it's just and I did a test of this earlier, pouring wax in there so I could tell you guys how much it holds. And I was able to put 7.5 ounces in one of these.
Nice.
Which, I mean, I feel like that's a good size candle. Like, you pay, I think I paid maybe a little over $30 for the mold. And to put 7.5 ounces of wax in there, I mean, I feel like that's pretty good, because you're getting vessels, then you're going to get 20 candles. So.
Right. Now, how long did that take you to cure over that concrete?
So this is...
So when you poured it to
So this is the fun part, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I actually went through 3 different types of concrete before I found the one that worked the best. And you can go to Lowe's and Home Depot, and they have what's called a Quickcrete, and they have some that are like faster setting. And I first started my concrete journey in the summer. So if you guys know anything about concrete, it's easier to cure in the summer, like when it's a little bit warmer. And so during the summer, I was able to, you know, make 1 million of these molds, and I had no problem. Well, when it started getting cooler here in Kentucky, I started having problems with my concrete wanting to harden and solidify. And so I did some more research and some more test runs, and I actually found it's a brand called Rapid Set All Cement. And you can actually, Lowe's doesn't carry it as far as I know, but Home Depot carries it. And I'll make sure to have that in a link for you guys. But that's what I use now. And it literally sets maybe in an hour.
Yeah. Wow. You need to have your own YouTube and do tutorials on
So I do have, which this is funny that you bring this up, but I'm actually half Korean. And I have a YouTube channel where I was documenting my Korean journey because I wasn't raised by my Korean birth mom. And so I'm in the process of searching for her and all this stuff. And so I did a Half My Soul because I'm half Korean, and I love doing YouTube. But even Katie has been like, look, you should, you know, document your candle journey. Like, you're doing concrete candles, and, you know, there's a market for them. And so I'm glad that you brought that up, because that only kind of confirms that I probably need to pull out my camera and start recording when I do a lot of these. But so this is what it looks like when it comes out of the mold, and I love how this turned out. So this is when I first started pouring, and this was with the concrete mix compared to the cement mix. And you can kind of see the difference.
You like this?
And so with the concrete, it was hard to mix, and it was hard to get a lot of like the little rocks and stuff in there to mix really well. And because I mix all these by hand, so I don't have like a hand drill or anything. You know, I even pulled out like an old, I think a kitchen mixer, and was in the garage during the summer with a blender and a kitchen mixer trying to like get this to like a really fine powder. And I was just getting frustrated, so I kind of poured it like it was. And well, during the curing process, it's not as smooth as the cement is. So if you guys are wanting to do concrete, I suggest doing the cement over the concrete, just because the cement comes out smooth, unless you like the rustic look, which I think.
Shelly, can you hold them?
Okay.
Yeah. Because I guess it depends on your brand too. Some people might like that more. So it really just depends.
Right. And it depends. And I think too,
because they both look gorgeous.
Yeah. And so, and I love how they both turned out. But I will say, if you're doing the concrete, it takes harder or longer to harden during the winter. So that's another thing to kind of think about too. They're great in the summer, but this works really good all year round. So I prefer cement over concrete after testing 3 different brands. And plus, this just is smoother, and you're not going to, you know, have a million tears on the floor because this keeps crumbling every time you pull it out of the mold. So, but I was doing some test batches today of some of my Christmas scents, and I'm wishing that I didn't have to sell any of these, because I'm like, I would just burn all of these and keep them.
They're amazing. Are you thinking about putting different colors on the bottom of them for like the holidays?
Yeah, so I have thought about that. Right now I have black just because of the Black Cat Candle Company, which is inspired by Black Cat kimchi. So if you guys aren't familiar with Korean culture, we have a fermented cabbage dish called kimchi. So we named our Black Cat after one of our favorite Korean dishes. And then we have mochi. So we have mochi and then Mr. Kitty. So we have 3 cats that kind of adopted. Very nice. So, but Black Cat is named after kimchi, and it just kind of fit. But then I also do the little. So those are gorgeous. So these are going to be.
I could just imagine them lined up.
Yes.
And like, all the
feels.
feels.
Let me show you guys really quick if I can turn this around, because show us. It's nothing but, and it's, you know.
And they're all different size vessels, which is really cool too.
So they're all unique, which I love.
Oh, another question I have for you that I am just dying to know. How is the shipping with concrete? Does it weigh a lot more than a regular candle?
So surprisingly, it doesn't weigh too much at all. Like, I was kind of shocked that it almost like you take your glass vessel and then you take your concrete vessel, and it doesn't really weigh that much more, to be honest. No.
Really?
And so actually, let me see, somewhere I have my kitchen scale with the wax in there that it weighs.
Yes.
So we can compare. I love Shelly. So the glass is like 1.8. Concrete tear that out. Is 1.9.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
And they're both 7-ounce. They're both 7-ounce jars too.
Both
wow.
Of these.
So literally nothing.
Nope. And I've gotten that a lot too. Like, because even Katie in the beginning was like, "Well, isn't that going to cost you a lot to ship?" And I really didn't know, until I started, doing the research and kind of comparing, the glass to the concrete. Like, it's really the same.
Yeah.
So.
Because my husband and I were thinking that like a while back because of the same reason. But he's like, that I think that's going to cost too much to ship. And I'm like, okay. And that was literally the end of it. And then I went down, like everything happens for a reason. I went down a different path, but I'm still so intrigued by it,
so surprisingly, I was kind of shocked too. I was like, it really doesn't, cost any more than, sending a regular candle in a glass vessel than it does to ship out concrete. So
yeah. Can you add color to the
cement? So this is a great question. And you can actually use mica powder in your concrete.
Really?
So I literally just went on, and I can link this too, but on Amazon, and I bought like a whole bunch. So
I would have never thought. I just for some reason, I don't know why, I wouldn't.
Yes.
I would have thought I would have had to buy paint or something, a mix, like actual gallons of paint to paint the wall. And the only reason I say that is because when we tried to paint the house, we had to buy paint to mix in the mortar.
So, and I like tested out that theory, and I added some black acrylic paint to one of my mixes the other day, and it literally turned out like this.
Lauren asked, the little extra on the side from the slit around the mold, do you just sand that down?
So I do.
On your vessel?
I do. I have a sanding block that I use to sand it with. And I got this at Walmart for like $1, I think. So super cheap. And the reason why I put the slit down the bottom is because I struggled, like I said, struggled, like having to turn this over every time and my concrete just crumbling. And so I was like, we're going to see if I put a slit in the, the side of it, if it helps demold it better. And well, sure enough.
Emily just said, I feel like I'm in the front row of an awesome class.
I love it.
I love it. I'm literally like sitting like this too.
All right. So we've got magenta. I feel like we're in like science class, and I love it.
Yeah, I know. I love it.
Right. So I've already got my cement. This is actually like, when you go get Chinese food and they give you like your soup in the little takeout.
I keep all those too.
I mean, they work great, really.
Yeah, Lauren said, I have the same micas and the magenta turns out beautifully.
I love it. Ooh, I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Yeah, because this is the first time you're doing it too, right?
After all of my research, I finally thought, we're going to buy it and we're going to try it. So now we get to do it together. Super excited.
Yep. And now you'll have to come on and do a live unveiling.
Ooh, yes. We'll have to do that. If the live is a little bit longer, because this doesn't take terribly long to demold, then I'd say, well, we could do it tonight. But, we only have so much time.
How long does it take?
I think maybe an hour or just a little bit over.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And sometimes when I'm like mixing it in here, it's already starting to set. And I'm like, well, I need to hurry. So
nice.
But yeah, and the other trick too, I will say, is I put like a little hair tie around here just to kind of hold it in place and kind of make it firm. And then I've got my they do make silicone release spray, but I didn't have that, so we went and got vegetable spray.
Oh yeah, the vegetable spray.
So it works just as well. So I pour it or spray it just in the top here, so that way when you go and demold it, you're not fighting with it. This is like just a little over 10 ounces of cement. All right, so then I just have some tap water in here. And like I said, I just kind of eyeball it. You want enough to where when you pour the water in there, it kind of makes a paste. And you'll hear it bubble, which is a good sign. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you guys can, a little ASMR.
Sounds like a soda fizzing or something.
And I got the mold.
Where do you get your molds at again? The lab?
Yeah, the Modern Craft Labs. But you can also get molds off of AliExpress and Wish. So for those of you who have been curious about that. Now, I will say, if you buy off of either of those, the shipping does take a little bit longer, just because they're not located in the U.S. But everything I've bought from both of those places, I've gotten what I've bought. Because I know that some people have been like, oh, well, I'm afraid that if I buy this, it's not what I'm going to get. And my little molds that I used for these came up, I believe, off of AliExpress, and it was what I purchased. So making sure all the cement is incorporated in there, because you don't want it super watery either.
How big of batches do you normally do, or do you mix one at a time? Because I can imagine your forearms must be killing you after a certain amount of time.
So right now I'm only doing single batches. So you can, and part of that is just because I wasn't sure how these were going to turn out, so I didn't want to buy a whole bunch of molds and then not have any of it turn out the way that I wanted. So, but you do, get really big biceps by the end of this. So you aren't one for the gym, just stir and mix cement, and then you'll be good to go.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people even make the cement vessels and then sell them. That's like primarily what they do. So you could even go down that route of just selling the vessels to some of your people, because they might just want to go straight to put a succulent in it or something.
So and that's the one thing I love about concrete and cement, is that there are so many things that you can do with this. Like, your options are really limitless on how you can market and like what you can do with them. I mean, you don't have to use these for succulents once your candle is finished. I mean, they can be used as pencil holders. I mean, I feel like the sky's the limit with these. Now we are going to add the color that you guys chose into
the magenta.
This is exciting though.
Matches my hair.
Katie actually went and got her hair done yesterday. She had a crazy like hair story, because she went to the salon and the lady messed up her hair, so she went to somebody else and was like, "Your peekaboo was not a peekaboo." She's like, "It was a hide and go seek. You couldn't even see it." And so now she's got purple in her hair, but it actually looks good. So
twins, yes.
Purple twins.
Marianne says, "Can you paint it after you make it?"
Yes. So actually, this on the bottom here is painted with black chalkboard paint.
Oh, wow.
So, yep. So you don't have to use the mica powder if you don't want to, if you're wanting just to color some of it. So that's what the color is looking like.
Hey, it's doing something.
So this is very exciting, but someone had a question, I believe.
See, Lauren said, "Do you have to seal the vessels before pouring the wax?"
So that is a great question, and I recommend using a water-based sealer. I currently have been testing on some of these Mod Podge, actually, and they do make a outdoor Mod Podge, which is, because if you don't know, a lot of people use it in the craft world to like seal stuff. So it's like a water-based glue kind of thing. But you can also get, I believe it's like a concrete wax that you can get, and I'll link that too.
Comments here and there.
So let's get a little more of this magenta. And then we are going to get ready and pour. So I kind of put that up so you guys can see here. So you can kind of see it's not like super running.
Yeah.
So you just want to get that right to the top. Right to the top here.
Oh, yeah.
Then you just want to kind of tap on the edges to get all the bubbles out. So that way you don't have any air bubbles when you pull them out, because here's one. So you'll have little air bubbles that look like that.
Yeah. I think that still looks cool.
So at first I was like, I don't know how I feel about it, but then molding them, I kind of liked how they looked, and it kind of gave them.
I think that looks really
their own uniqueness.
Boom.
I love it. All right, so now, because I've got some cement mix left over, we're actually going to demold some of these smaller molds, and we're going to pour some more some more concrete. Sweet. So this is the small mold that I got, and this one was off of AliExpress, so it's 4 time, whereas that one I just do 1 at a time. But I will say these are also really fun to demold, because you can get this little
that does look fun.
Pop at the end. That's like my favorite part.
Yeah.
It's like once you.
So when did you pour these ones? Like today?
Yeah, actually,
I did. Hours ago.
So I had to think about it, because I pour so many of these. I was like, when did I do these?
Yeah.
But I did. I poured these earlier today, just in time for the live. So that's how these turn out.
Came out great. So let me ask you, because I face the COVID like layoff thing too. How are you liking working for yourself? Like, it takes a little bit to get in a groove, but how are you liking it now that you're kind of getting into a groove and what you like?
So the fun part is when I first moved to Kentucky, like I said, I wasn't doing like a 9-to-5 job. And then I ended up riding out unemployment as long as I could. And it just, kind of ended. And well, I had to figure out what I was going to do. So I ended up getting a job working in a warehouse through a temp agency here. And then, well, that fell through. So I got another job at a warehouse. And so I'm currently doing 12s, working in a plastic plant where we make, so if you go to McDonald's and Taco Bell, we make all of the cups and the lids for the drinks. So I literally pack cups and lids for 12 hours a day. And then on my off days, I pour concrete and make candles. So the goal is crossing my fingers that I won't have to work 12s and I can pour concrete and make candles. But, that's kind of a goal or a dream that I have at some point. So, but we're working towards it because Lord knows I am tired of putting cups and boxes for 12 hours. But it pays the bills and it's also allowed me to make candles. So, but we're going to pour this one.
Oh my gosh. So excited.
It's really fun because then you have the satisfying part of, once the demolding process comes of like, hey, I made that. Like, I didn't buy this from a website. I, spent the time and effort into making something that I'm actually proud of.
Yeah, that's what's super cool. It literally, the whole thing is almost you made it.
My concrete candles will officially come out, I'm hoping the first week of December. So,
oh my gosh, so cool.
So you guys will be on the lookout for that.
When are those concrete vessels?
Hopefully the first week of December. I do 2 for right now. And then I will show you guys, and I can just post a video, or we can do however you want to do it, of once these are ready to be demolded. I love it. I love it. Because I'm excited to see how these turn out, honestly. So, all right. So we're going to let that cure. I'm going to find somewhere to set this because concrete and cement is a little bit messy. So normally I have like paper or something set out over my desk, and then I wanted to really quickly, because I know a lot of you probably want to know, well, how do you plan on branding your concrete? And like, how do you plan on marketing or, packaging? Because one of my favorite things when it comes to shopping small or buying handmade is the way that people package their product. That's like literally I've spent hours and hours. How do people package their candles, or, watch me pack an order, or yada yada. And a lot of people, and I think I saw someone the other day asking in the group about tissue paper that had your logo on it.
So what's funny about the logo tissue paper, because someone else did it, and then I saw a video tutorial too, because I think I'm going to get stamps of both Retro Glow and Scent Sluts, because once I start selling like the merchandise of Scent Sluts, I can just use the same box and then stamp it with whatever logo. And I know some people are doing that for tissue paper too. They're just going to stamp their logo everywhere on it.
So funny enough that you bring up stamps, because my whole life is on YouTube. Me and Katie started a vlogging channel that we only released 2 videos on, but I mean at this point,
I'm like, that probably wasn't.
It's okay. I mean, I feel like at this point, like, if you get to know me for maybe even just an hour, you probably know my whole life story, because I'm pretty open about it. And so I have no problem with, and plus I love like being able to help other people. Like, if what I do helps another creator be able to make awesome concrete candles, then by all means, like, go make concrete candles, because I'll probably buy some from you too. I mean, I feel like, we love candles anyway.
Well, that's what I said. There's enough out there for everyone. I mean, our demographic's going to be totally different anyways,
Like, so. Because I feel like some people get easily offended when they're like, oh, well, I was making concrete candles first. I'm like, and?
Yeah.
Like, there's enough concrete to go around.
V was on a live the other day, and she said something very similar. Like, you can use the same this, same that as meme, but that doesn't mean it's the same
Nope.
quality of product. The scents are going to be different. My wicks are going to be, the
Yep.
whole experience is going to be different.
Yeah. And I love that we're all uniquely created differently, because we all bring something to the table, that kind of, because I love the idea of family. And I think that's because, I wasn't raised, in a perfect family. My dad was in the Air Force and met my mom, and then not even there an entire year. And here I was, kind of a whole being created in South Korea, and then all these things. And so I've always loved this idea of family, and what can we bring to the table that kind of, makes us one. And so it's like, if I have knowledge on concrete, I don't want to be selfish and oh, well, you can't, know how to make this, because I think it's fun. Like, you make your concrete, I make mine, you make your retro glow, and it's one big happy family, and I love it.
So, it's just,
yeah. And me and Katie were talking earlier about retro glow, and I was like, I love that name, because I was born in 87, which it probably looks like I'm still 18, but I am in my early 30s. And well, anything retro, like, especially even the 90s, like, you've got your bop. Like, I don't know how many of you were bopping to Hanson, but I've been bopping since 1996, and well,
retro, right? You can go anywhere with that kind of stuff.
You can find someone to do your, talking about stamps, I actually went, because I love supporting other small creators, and so I went on Etsy, and I got this stamp of Black Cat Candle Co. because, when it comes to packaging, I realized that, for now I'm, making $10 an hour putting cups in boxes, and well, that only gets you so far. And so I was like, well, what can I do with what money I have now that still makes my product stand out? Not just, okay, I'm going to open a box and here's a concrete candle. Like, when I open someone's package, like, I want it to be like I'm at Disneyland, or, I'm at riding a roller coaster at Six Flags having the time of my life. I want to be able to give someone a product that they enjoy opening.
Oh my gosh. Should I show you a package I opened today that I was blown away about? I re-put everything back in there perfectly, because I was like, I'm going to see my husband tomorrow. He's an hour away, and I'm like, oh, I gotta show him how this was packaged.
I love it.
So when I opened, it came in one of the the regular mailers from USPS, but the company is Splash or Sparkle and Splash.
Look how cute.
And this is actually stamped too. Yeah. And the thing is, with my boxes, I'm thinking about splatter painting them.
I love it.
And I didn't even know how this was going to even, it looks like, I don't think she spray painted them, but she might have. I know that I'm not sure the green, but it looks great. That's awesome. There's that stamp right there.
I love that.
Yeah.
Look how cute that is, though. I would be screaming if I got something like that in the mail.
I so careful. I was in the video. I can't wait to show you guys the video, but I carefully opened it because I didn't want to ruin anything, and it smells so good. Up so you guys can see.
Look at that. But how cute is that?
I know. Sparkle and Splash. There was her little candle, and then I opened it to smell it.
Oh my goodness! It's almost like you want to eat it. It's like a birthday cake or something.
I know. And then a little bath bomb, and then she also. Yeah, because I've been trying to figure out my packaging and seeing what fits in a package and things like that. But I was like, this is adorable. I love that. Like, I felt the experience.
That she has her products where you can light a candle and take a bath. Because Lord knows, as many times as I've gone and she's like, don't burn another candle, you're getting water in it. Because I love burning a candle during bath time. Like, there's just something about, putting bath salts or a bath bomb in a bath and burning a candle and spending an hour on TikTok, because that's pretty much all we do when we're not working or doing candles is TikTok. Which, also TikTok is super helpful too, because a lot of, all of my TikTok is crafting, and all of hers are funny videos, and so you can kind of see the difference between the two of ours. But there's been a lot of helpful resources even on TikTok.
My husband is like, I came up with this 3-minute meal from TikTok or this and that, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But honestly, I would have, if it wasn't for quarantine, I didn't realize I wouldn't say it's easy to learn new things, but it's accessible to you to learn anything with YouTube. And I think, I don't know if it's like my age, because my brother is 16.
Okay.
So there's 16 years between, or there's 15 years between us. So his generation, he knows how to do so much more things than I do. And I'm like, how is this? It's because they got a phone in their hand. And now I'm on the other side of it with quarantine, knowing, and I'm like, I'm learning more than I really ever have.
I mean, and we talked about this because Katie's actually working on her master's degree right now, and I've always hated school. And so, you know, it was like when we kind of first got together, you know, she's, you know, over here like crushing it, doing amazing at school. And I'm over here wanting to like pull my hair out because I mean, I was miserable at school. I went for one semester and then I dropped out and never went back. And I've always kind of had this entrepreneur mindset. But when you mention like, you know, everything being super accessible, like everything I've learned how to do, whether it's, you know, videography or photography or candles, it's all been, you know, just through social media, you know?
Yeah, literally. I need to fix the toilet. I say to my husband, look it up on YouTube.
Yeah, we had earlier during quarantine, our tub kept getting backed up, and we're on some, like, I'm on some DIY group for like home renovations, and somebody walked me through how to unclog my tub. And I'm like, you know, I didn't even have to call a plumber.
So cool. And people are actually saying that in here. Like, I learned so much from this group. Everyone's like, I love this video.
Yeah.
Yes, they love the live tutorial.
So really quick, when we're talking about branding and packaging, because, you know, like we've talked about, that's one of my favorite things, is being able to open a package and it be this full-on experience. Like, I want the package to be like, oh, you know, when I open the box, like, I'm just all about it. And we're actually both big into K-pop, so Korean pop music. If you guys are familiar with that, our favorite group is BTS, which is how we met. And she actually, more so during quarantine, would buy a lot of like fan-made merch and stuff. And I would always want to be the one to open it just because of the way it was packaged. I was like, I know you bought this for you. I'm like, but I was like, I love all these freebies and I love all these, you know, things that come inside of it. It's not just you getting the product, it's you getting the product plus, you know, all these other little goodies. So one of these cool things that I thought about is offering a little free matchbook with every candle.
Cute.
And it's got
that's awesome.
Black cat and the stamp. I mean, if you know, you're wanting to not spend $1 million on branding, you know, just go on Etsy and
out that concrete.
Yeah, but I also thought about maybe even stamping my logo onto the concrete too. So we have some ideas. I think for now I'm probably gonna just do a desk cover and then do some type of branding on that. But I also know a lot of people I've seen talking about this, where they wanted their custom like adhesive, like the tape when you pack your boxes. So I got it's like craft paper tape, and it's like you just put a little bit of water on it, and then you just stamp your logo on it, and then you've got your little branded tape. So when you know, get the package in the mail or the box, like, you will immediately see, you know, your logo on there. Yeah.
Oh, it just elevates it, and it takes you a little bit more time, but it just means everything. It's crazy.
So this was, I think it was a 2-pack on Amazon for super cheap. So, and because I'm doing wax melts also, and because I'm super excited about this, and I have an amazing fiance who supports my candle journey, she actually bought me
it's amazing,
these molds, and I wanted to show you guys. So if you're looking at getting creative with your wax melts as well, you can also use silicone. So on top of, you know, doing concrete candles, I also kind of wanted to brand my wax melts really cool, and not just your standard like squared or clamshelled, you know, wax melt. So I've got these, and then there's a whole bunch up there too. And this one's really cool. One of my favorite things I'm doing, this will be kind of more for my signature line, but I'll do all black cat wax melts to kind of go with my...
Oh, that's cool. I love that because it's so cohesive with your brand.
So, but then I also got these little cotton bags from Amazon.
Cute.
And then it's got my logo on it, and I'll put all my wax melts in this. Because I mean, I just felt like this with the concrete kind of...
Yeah, that'll look nice.
Really nice.
Yeah, like today I got my bags next to me too. I got this crinkly paper in today for like the Gatsby Speakeasy. I don't know if I'm gonna like this color or not, but we're gonna find out really quick.
I mean, I feel like it's all
about trying things
trial
out.
and error, like finding out what works and what doesn't, you know. And that's the fun part. It's like you get to try out a lot of things and figure out what works best for you. One other thing I'll share that I'm super excited about, and I think I have some samples here of when I did my first test run, but I got a wax seal kit, so which would probably be really cool to go with your retro kind of.
I
Yes,
bought one. I bought one with my
I love
logo,
it.
with the RG logo.
Yes.
Yep.
So I got mine off of Etsy, and instead of actually doing my logo on it, I actually thought this would be a cool idea. In honor of Black Cat Candle Co. being named after Kimchi, our black cat, I got a little paw print.
Oh,
so that way it's kind of like
cute.
his stamp of approval.
I like that.
So,
but
yeah, so I got a little kit on Etsy. So I think mine came from the UK, and it was like got here really quick.
I'm like,
I'd seen someone do, I think it may have been actually BuzzFeed. They did where they tried crayons.
Really?
I was like, well, so yeah, so if you guys don't want to spend, which mine wasn't that expensive. I think maybe it was like $20. So then you just get a tea light and you hold it over it, and I mean, then you've got like really awesome branding. So that's kind of how I plan on, packaging and branding my concrete candles.
As we're winding down here, so Shelly and I will get together and we'll have her back, because everyone seemed to love this. And even if it's just unveiling mold, like your stuff coming out of the molds, like, oh my gosh, I love watching those videos.
I'm telling you, there's something satisfying.
So satisfying.
It is.
I'd be like, yay, Shelly's
right.
involved.
Well, the fun part is,
every time.
And I'll say this really quick before we end, but I have a TikTok for my candle. So it's Black Cat Candle Co. And a lot of my videos have been me like demolding. And sometimes I'll go in there and I'll just watch my own videos. And I'm like,
that's how I am with my time lapse, is when the candles are curing. I just like, ooh, those are pretty.
It's just like you watch your own content, and I'm like, it's like I did that.
Even if no one else
for real. It's like you have 100 views in your video. Oh, that was all me.
Yep.
Nobody actually watched it but me. My cat.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So
I'm just thankful that you had me on, because I love talking all things.
I'm so happy that you reached out to me. This has been amazing, and we'll keep connecting. And thank you everyone for being here, and I hope you have a safe Thursday. Thursday,
and so speaking of thank you, I will because I am half Korean, and I've actually been banned from saying a lot of things in Korean, because I'll share this little story before we end. But when we were in Chicago, this is the first time me and Katie actually met in person, and we went to eat at a Korean barbecue place. And like I said earlier, I wasn't raised in anything Korean, and so my Korean knowledge, speaking wise, is very little. And so I can say hello, goodbye, thank you, and yes. And so we were eating at the Korean restaurant, and I said "안녕하세요" as I walked in, and all these little Korean ladies were like, "Oh, she knows Korean," and so throughout the meal, they kept saying stuff, in Korean, I guess thinking that I was fluent because I said hello. And so, and for me, I didn't want to offend, so I just kept saying yes in Korean. I was like, "Ne, ne," and they'd come over and say something else. I'd be like, "Ne," and I'd just nod my head. So I go to the bathroom, and my phone starts going off, and Katie's texting me. She's like, "Do you want to know how much our bill is? Because you couldn't stop saying yes." And I was like, "Oh," and she's like, $300. And I was like, all right. So now, like, anytime we go anywhere Korean, I'm like, I can say hello and thank you, and pretty much not allowed to say yes. But when you said thank you, I thought, well, this would be a fun way to end our live video with maybe learning how to say thank you in Korean. So it's 감사합니다. So that's how you say 감사합니다. 감사합니다.
감사합니다.
And that's how you say thank you in Korean. So, and then we do a cute little finger heart. Oh. So it's like a term of like when we have terms of endearments. It's like a little, so
that's cool.
So
very
so thank you, 감사합니다, for having me on tonight. Then,
all right, Shelly. I'll talk to you later. Thank
bye,
you,
guys.
everyone else, for being here. Bye.